Hello, ni hao. My name is Yuval Robichek. Robichek is a Czech name. My father is Czech. My mother is from Morocco. It's a nice mix. They met in Israel and decided to bring me to the world. Now I was born in Haifa. It's a lovely city by the seashore, and as we're going to go along, you will see that the sea and the beach is taking a huge part in my work. So I grew up and went to the army, and then in this age, I realized that I'm attracted to the visual world, so I decided to go and study visual arts and became a graphic designer. Not just a graphic designer, but a board graphic designer. Why board? Because every time I got a project to design, I was looking for references. Nothing came 100% out of me. My ideas were not original, and I was not happy about it. So in order to expand my world, I moved to New York. And in my free time in New York, I used to browse and go to magazine store and browse the pages of the magazines for hours. And what I was amazed to discover is to see 5 pages of text of an article and one illustration that expresses the whole text without a word. And when I saw that, I said to myself, this is something that I want to do. Gather all these sentences into one drawing. So I left to School of Visual Arts, and I took a course called Humor in Arts. And the teacher of the school, he was an illustrator for Forbes magazine. And the teacher told us that the magazine, Forbes magazine, are looking for an original illustration for one of the articles. So he told us, go home, prepare something, and bring it back the next lesson. So the next lesson, all the works, everything that we did was hung up on the wall, and to our biggest surprise, the art director of Forbes magazine entered the class, and he went straight to my work. And the teacher, who did not like my style, asked him in front of all the class, are you going to take this crap to your magazine? But the art director, who was a big guy with red beard, he said, yes. And I remember this yes very well, because that day I stopped being a graphic designer and became an illustrator. I should have now projected you this illustration from Forbes magazine, but back then it was 1989. We did not store digitally our works like we do today. Time went by, years went by, and internet took over. And I found the social media a great stage to present my work. So I decided that every day I'm going to draw a new illustration about my life, about a private moment, mine or others. So since I've come from so far away, let me invite you to my world of illustration, where images speak for themselves. Well, before everything else, I'm a father. I have 3 kids. When my first kid was born, I did not make immediately the switch to be a father. My ex-wife, she became a mother right away, but I was still the illustrator that lives in his own world. When the second child was born, I realized that he is a part of me. So if he is a part of me, he should know how to draw, like his father. Well, I was wrong. As my children always saying, this thing called illustrator in the family is already taken by you. No room for others. When my third child was born, I was already a full-time father. I was there, I was present every minute, hand in hand, giving him the past with confidence so he can plan his steps for the future. Speaking about the future, I saw myself in the future lying under the tree with no financial pressure. let me tell you what my teacher, the same teacher, told the class back then. You're never gonna get rich, but you're gonna love every day in your life. So here is my everyday life. I wake up in the morning and I go to the mirror and I ask myself, am I gonna draw a good idea today? Am I gonna have a good idea to draw today? For people, it looks like it comes to me very easy because I draw so many drawings. But back in my mind, I have this doubt. Like the illustration I did last night, I'm sure it's the last good idea that I'm gonna have. But they keep coming. Then I go to the bathroom. I always love those elephants, to see those elephants soaking water with the noses. I was waiting for the moment to bring it into one of my illustrations, for this private moment. So I brought this elephant into my bathroom. So after I take a shower, I feel strong as an elephant. Then I go to the kitchen and I open the window and I make myself coffee with this macchinetta. This macchinetta always seemed to me like a calm person, relaxed, with his hand on his hip, taking his time, drinking coffee. After coffee, I take my bike and I ride to the beach. This work combines two of my favorite things, riding the bike and listening to music. When I was a kid, there were records, so in order to listen to music, you had to sit by the record player. When they invented the Walkman, I was positive that the guy who invented the Walkman was thinking especially about me, that I can take my music with me everywhere, even to the beach. So the beach or the sea is present in many of my works. It gives me inspiration, it gives me relaxation, and as I said at the beginning of the lecture, I was born by the beach, so it's very hard to take the sea out of me. And when I comes there, I feel like he grabs my hand and said, relax, Yuval. Stay here. Feel at home. This is a place for you to create, to think. But at first, I used to take photos at the beach. Not a selfie like this one. You know, when all this selfie began, it always looked to me like those TV broadcasts when the reporter is speaking and the people are pushing themselves behind him into the frame. So this is the inspiration that I got for this drawing. But this is my version for all selfie. Before we had iPhones, let's get back to the beach, when I'm taking my photos. And when I'm taking my photos at the beach, I still think as an illustrator. When I see the photo that I'm going to shoot, I already know most of the time what I'm going to draw there. It's like drawing nature for me. Let's take, for example, this photo of the birds. I took many photos of those birds and came home, uploaded it into my computer, and when I saw this photo of all others, and I saw the shape of these birds, then I knew that I'm going to draw on the corner this guy who makes those soap bubbles. Early mornings is the time of the elderly at the beach. They come, they chat, it doesn't matter if it's winter or summer. When they arrange their chairs along the beach, to me it always seems like they are watching a movie, maybe about their own life. You know those group of chairs that belongs to a restaurant or a cafe and they always have their own color? Sometimes red, sometimes yellow. So when I look at those group of chairs, it looked to me like two football teams. And the fan in the middle, he hasn't decided which team he likes to support yet. Then I look back to the sea, to the water. When I look in the water, I see half people. So I guess the other half is on the beach. Those sandals are the perfect sandals to go to the beach too. They're called flip-flop, and I love very much the shape of those sandals, so I decided to make them human. Surfing. Wave surfer is very popular in Israel and I think all over the world. And when I was a child, I remember myself sitting along the seashore and watching those surfers while I was eating ice cream. And I was waiting for the moment that I can bring these two together into an illustration. So here you are. In the last few years, the shores of Tel Aviv are full of jellyfish. I don't think it was like this when I was younger. But there are so many jellyfish that it's not a nice feeling to go inside the water because you get a sting. So you have to stay on the beach. So this is my visual matching, the shape matching between the people on the beach and the jellyfish. This game called Matkot, you play as a couple. I don't think even if it's a sport at all, Israel or Tel Aviv shores are full with these Matkot players. And when I go down there to the seashore, I would like to have peace and quiet, and this is what I find instead. So you see the guy there in the water? That's me. This is the ultimate dilemma among our friends on summer. Should we go to the swimming pool or should we go to the beach? So this is my solution, and I hope this woman is happy with this solution. But when October comes, I feel a little bit sad. Why? Because I know summer is over. I remember going to the beach with my girlfriend, and I was looking in her sunglasses and saw the reflections of the sea in her sunglasses. And I was imagining a tear coming out of one of her eyes. And then came to me the idea to draw the sea level going down where the tear drips. Maybe it's cold outside, so let's stay home and still feel like we are on the beach. Like, draw them lying in the same position on those blankets, watching the sea on a big screen, and I gave them some popcorn, so we're gonna have the feeling of this movie theater. That's what I call true friendship. You know, girlfriends, they switch each other shoes, jackets, clothes, but then they switch between each other swimsuits. This is, for me, it's a much closer friendship. This is me sick at home. I still want to feel I'm out there. But above all, the beach and the sea for me is the place for romance. My girlfriend and my wife, my ex-wife, it all began at the beach. You go down there, you sit, you look at the horizon, you talk, you keep silent, or you help your girlfriend surf. And I see it couples, when I look at couples on the beach, and I see a couple that's sitting one behind another, I say to myself, they probably came on a scooter. So let's draw near them another couple that came by a car. I mean, sit one next to each other. You've noticed that we are in the Roman business, right? So this girlfriend, not my girlfriend, but she's a girlfriend, told me that her boyfriend is warming her heart. So when she said that, what I saw is a couple, a fire camp, and the guy who warmed their hearts like marshmallow on this skewer pop. They said that when you want it, you find love. When you're ready for it, you'll find love. Like pushing a button. I'm not sure about it, but I had to draw it. This is a good example of how I draw. After all my morning business, riding to the beach and all this, I come to my studio and I sit and I start drawing. Even if I don't have a good idea to draw, I sit and start drawing. So I started drawing this girl inside the bath and looked at it and then decided to add the guy in the bath with her. And then I saw that the legs looks very similar. So I decided to take the whole 4 legs and put them together like you cannot tell whose legs belong to who. And when you cannot tell that, I'm happy because I'm satisfied with this illustration. I think it works. Tattoos are everywhere, and especially this tattoo of this flower, the rose. So if she has the rose, let's give him the tattoo of the water funnel. Well, this scene I saw in a movie. This guy, he puts his hand on this girl's cheek, and she is feeling so comforted. And this is a very emotional moment. And when I came home, I really wanted to draw it, so I started drawing it, and I had to add this tattoo on this guy's hand, meaning home. I love movies. And my favorite movies are about relationships. I just saw a movie called Marriage Story. It just came up, started screening in Israel a few weeks ago. And this movie is about a married couple. And the movie begins with each one, the husband and the wife, making a list of what they like and don't like about each other. When I saw that, I thought about how can I show the difference between them, so I showed the difference in their shadow. He is more stiff, she is more flexible. Well, everyone sees something else. When I started uploading my illustrations, people used to comment and write me their version of what they understand of the illustration. And I wanted to say, hey, no, this is not what I meant. But then I understood that after my illustration is out, it's not mine anymore, it's yours. So you can tell me, those guys, are they in a complicated situation? Or maybe they are relaxing with pleasure. You choose. People might think that I have a negative attitude about relationship. I look at it from the point of view of an illustrator. In order to have a good illustration, you must have a conflict. If everything is perfect, it's not interesting. So, what I do, I never draw a crisis, a real crisis. I draw a moment that happens in every relationship. I'm optimistic after all. As you can see, I'm always leave a place for a smile. Here they fight with pillows. And to add the extra smile, I put them in this snow globe. What's going on here? Is she sewing his heart or unpick it? Well, when both options are relevant, I think it works. Are you optimistic about this illustration? Like he gives her promises. Can she trust him and step on the soap bubbles? You don't have to be a physicist to doubt his promises, right? When you want to show someone that you love him, you bring him flowers. Flowers is such a perfect thing. And how can you draw something negative in such a perfect thing like flowers? So here you are. He brings her flowers, such a romantic guy. But she hasn't decided whether she loves him or not. I saw once this photo of a girl running in this sunflower, in a field of sunflower, of yellow sunflower. And I really wanted to draw it. And when I started doing it, the small devil that sits on my left shoulder whispered in my ears, interfere this ideal scene with a red flower. And so I did. Being romantic is good, but what if you are too romantic? 4, 5, 6 candles could be enough, but this guy put 100 candles. Makes it very hard for her to join him. I like to take an element and repeat it in order to show the connection. For example, here we have his bird, like it's very popular today, like guys with long birds where I live, and her hair. In this case, I had to put them on bike, so when they ride, the wind takes the hair and the bird and puts them in this horizontal position that creates the connection between them. Theme parks are fun. You go to the Luna Park, you ride on this carousel, on the horses, so if it's so much fun, why not taking it home? I think that when it takes you 2 or 3 seconds to get the point in the drawing, then I think it's a succeed. So, in this case, I took the leg of the horse, only the leg of the horse, and put it out of the blanket. So this is how I gain those 2 or 3 seconds. This scene could take place in the afternoon, in the morning, in the evening. It's like 2 moods at the same moment. But the fact that they're alternately looking or not looking in each other, this is what creates the tension. Another moment of tension when each one sees something else. You know, the lie under the tree. Such a magical moment. But he sees something and she sees the opposite. A friend of mine told me once that without knowing, I was drawing him and his girlfriend. She lives in a faraway country. So when it's nighttime in her place, it's daytime in his place. And when it's daytime in his place, it's nighttime in her place. So it's hard for them to connect. I used to take a walk on the desert where I live to travel. And when I reached this canyon, there was this bridge hanging over it. And in order to get to the other side, I had to step on the bridge, but I was afraid. And my girlfriend urged me to do so. So this illustration serves the sentence, "I'll do anything for love." This assignment I got from a magazine. It was an article about a guy who met a woman, he lived with her, and she kept changing all the time until he didn't know who she really is. So this is my illustration for this article. I take elements from 2 different words and creates one emotional moment. For example, when I see this double lamp on the highway, it always looks to me like a happy couple. And when I see this curved lamp, to me it looks like always lonely and sad. You know this gesture that you do with your fingers when you want to show someone that you love him? So I look at the human body, and what I see is there are fingers on the legs too. You fight with your woman. She's mad. She's going to the living room and she sleeps on the sofa. You stay in your bed, in your room, and you try to figure out the maze. How do I get to her heart? Let's wish this guy some luck. This couple sees life differently. She sees a house, establishment. He sees a butterfly. And I was wondering, how can I draw it and without drawing it inside a thinking bubble? Because it's too common to draw a thinking bubble. So the solution that I've found is to draw only the outline of the heads so it's transparent and you can see the horizon through it. So what you see the horizon is actually what's going on in their mind. Same trick here. This is the surfer. He's waiting for the right moment to catch the wave. So again, their heads are in outline. So this is what's actually going on in their minds. 2 individuals in one moment. They cross each other, they see each other, but it's a very short moment. Why? Because they ride a bike. So this is why I use this orange color. This orange color is strong enough to keep the impression, although it's a short moment. How can you describe 2 different characters? I love paper plans, and I always wanted to bring them into my drawing. So here they come in as a paper plan, but they go out as paper boats. You wanted to give her a message. She does not understand. Maybe she does not want to understand. I love those mornings when you wake up, it's a beautiful day, and you make your loved one pancake for breakfast. So I use this element of this jumping pancake out of the frying pan and drew her heart jumping at the same height and the same direction to show that they feel alike. His world versus her world. His world is logical, makes sense. Her world is confused, mixed up. And I use this shape of windows to do this visual trick. Does it happen to you that you wake up in the middle of the night when you're only half covered by this blanket? It's not a nice feeling, right? It's like somebody took half of everything else you have. I got this idea when I was at the swimming pool and I saw this girl tipping her toe inside the water to check the temperature. And I said to myself, this is a great idea to draw someone who's not sure she wants to join this guy in bed. I used to be married 20 years. We are divorced for 10 years. We are in a good relationship. But when we were together, people called us a power couple, like we were connected with glue. You know, when we used to go to a cafe or to a restaurant, we used to sit one next to each other, not one in front of each other. We sat together like saying, you and I versus the rest of the world. A typical thing of our relationship was that she used to talk a lot and I used to talk very little. She could talk about a thing for an hour. I would say it in one sentence or one drawing. My ex-wife, she is a stylist for TV commercials. So she works outside of the house. I work at home. So between illustration, I had to take care of the kids, cooking, laundry, and it's not easy to be creative when you have such a busy schedule. But it was a very good lesson to me, because until today, even if my schedule is busy with never-ending tasks, I never forget to make some room. I never forget to put everything aside, to make some room, to dream, to create, to explore, to imagine, to make people laugh, to inspire other people, because this is what really makes me happy. Thank you very much.